Hold on.
Button is on
You
too.
guys are live.
Thank you.
Oh, gosh, did she ask me to pick her up and I didn't?
All right, this is the Board of Directors meeting for the Council on Aging. Today's January 15th, 2025. May I have a motion to call the meeting to order at 9:32?
I'll make a motion.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Marie, would you be so kind as to read the
I'd love to.
mission statement? Thank you.
The mission of the Council on Aging is to advocate for Groveland's older adults, to identify their needs, to develop and implement services to meet their health, economic, social, and cultural needs, to exchange maximum independence, and to improve their quality of life.
Thank you. Next is approval of the minutes from the December 18th, 2024 meeting. May I have a motion to accept?
I make a motion to accept the minutes from the meeting.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion, questions, comments?
I just want to say that there was one sentence in which I changed the wording, but not the intent.
Okay.
As I read it through again, I thought, oh, this is a better way to say it.
Okay,
So, no major change.
all right, very good. All those in favor of accepting the minutes?
Aye.
Thank you, so moved. Here's Laurel. Sorry. Next is the director's report. Alyssa, if you please.
Absolutely. You can sit anywhere you'd like.
Well, I see a purse here. Is Linda here? Or is that your purse?
No.
Yeah,
Sharon
that
will
is my
be-
purse, but I dropped it.
No, okay, no. I just didn't know someone was sitting here.
No, no one's sitting there. Say thank you.
All right. Well, thank you all so much. Happy New Year. Lots going on in January and February, but just a couple things knowing. I put it in my board report, knowing that it also connected to our strategic planning as well. But a new report was published in December of 24, so just last month, from the Administration for Community Living. So I went through that, sifted through some highlights, and also through the Massachusetts State Aging Plan, which was sort of their 3-year strategic plan, or 4 years, and put some alignment from my perspective of what we're currently doing, so that organizationally, we see the COA to the state to national and how we're all connected together. So I wasn't sure. I put in links in addition to the reports if anyone was inclined to read. But if there's any questions on those, I'd be more than happy to ask. I was, not surprised, but also glad to see that we're in alignment, right? Just making sure, I think something I would really love to push forward as we think strategically is the age-friendly initiatives. I know Massachusetts as a state is really pushing for those community initiatives, so making sure that we're a walkable community, things, like in the town meeting room, that we have accessible hearing devices so that everybody can hear. I know the town's done a good job about recently making sure that our meetings are captioned and that we know how to share that information with people. So age-friendly communities in that sense. Housing, as we spoke about in previous meetings, of course, the need continues to be there. Long-term services and supports, absolutely aligns with our decision to move forward with making outreach a full-time position under the leadership of the assistant director title, and taking it from there. So any thoughts or questions on that?
Thank you for organizing it this way. It was very interesting to see the overlaps.
Yeah, absolutely. Finance, nothing Well, a couple of highlights there. In regards to expenses, nothing wild and crazy for December. Same thing with revenue to date. We did receive our $625 from our local cultural council from last year. We applied October 23. Those funds are now in. And then we did receive the award letter for our current LCC application, awarding us $1,200 for our memory care memory cafe program. And as with all of our grants, they have their own calendar timeline. Hence why we got paid for this year. For last year's programming. It is a reimbursable program, so, I'll do my best to put that in this fiscal year and stay on track because it is included in this year's budget. I did want to share, I think I alluded to perhaps last time, we, in the summer, we had received a grant notification award from MCOA for a couple of grants. One of them was for the Conversations That Matter program with the books and reading, and the second one was for the LGBTQ plus programming. We had asked for $4,000 and received the award letter for that to happen. That was certainly... When I wrote the application, of course, when we had additional staff person that I thought could really lead us in that direction. Given sort of our own staff restructuring, I think we could do it another time, but this year just isn't the year to make the programming that we put in this particular grant application become reality. So certainly still a priority for us. There's a lot of training online that's free or at minimal cost. I do think it's really important to be mindful and intentional when planning community events. And I think right now, again, with our own staffing restructuring, we just don't have the capacity to make that happen, but I hope so, in the very near future. So, yeah.
Can you remind me what LCC stands for?
Local Cultural Council.
Okay.
Yes. Any thoughts or questions on that?
I
Yeah.
just wondering, if you've been awarded a grant and then you're returning it, does that?
So we didn't receive the funds. We
Okay. But they're not going to, like, if you say 2 years from now? they're
Oh,
saying,
no,
they just gave it back. They don't-
the MCOA has made it very clear that, one, they're a very friendly organization. They've awarded us, I've applied, now this is my second year.
They understand?
Yeah, they understand.
Okay.
Yeah,
It
and
wasn't
I
like,
think-
oh, we got the money. No, we don't want it.
No. I think if you consistently did that, it might be a red flag, but this was fine. We had a conversation. Certainly, they want to know that their funds are being put towards the best use. And as we know, there's plenty of people that may have not gotten their full funds, and perhaps, that can go back to somebody that will use it. So it'll definitely be used, just not by us at this particular time. Assistant Director report. Nisha had some fun stats for the calendar year of 2024, including the person who scanned in the most was Linda Brown, 180 times in 2024. So that was fun to see. And she has some other great things on there. Definitely a huge thank you to the Friends of the Groveland Council on Aging for sponsoring our holiday party in December. Again, we couldn't have done that without you. We really appreciate it. And then we do have some great programming coming up this month. The Mass Health Info Session is taking place this Thursday at 1 p.m., January 16th, 1 p.m. This is free. We will have a Mass Health representative here to answer all the questions. I would strongly encourage anybody that is remotely interested or curious about it to join us, even if you think you don't qualify. There's some other programs within Mass Health that you can get. We just need you to have the information to enroll accordingly, particularly for long-term support and things of that nature. Low vision class taking place January 21st at 11 o'clock. I'm super excited about that. So that's, we have just a lot of really accessible technology is out there for people to be able to read the documents, to be able to scan the room, that are low cost or free. We just want to make sure that people know about it to help continue to live independent lives, and many more things coming up. So do check out our newsletter. It is online, as well as hard copies at the library, here in Town Hall, all sorts of places. Any thoughts on programming? No? We talked about, or I mentioned a few upcoming events. So we do have a Women's Day program in honor of the International Women's Day that is earlier that week of March. We're going to celebrate March 8th. Super excited to have a panel of women making an impact here in Groveland, ranging from all age spans from high school on up to retiree. We are hoping, well, I checked in with VC Park just yesterday. She confirmed that the space is available. So probably do it at VC Park, knowing that, anticipating that we will get a lovely audience for the program.
Do you have a time for that yet?
We are looking at 2 o'clock. That's not 100% confirmed, but that's what we are currently planning on.
That would be great.
Yep. In regards to pantry updates, this month, I had put it in the newsletter that, again, really appreciative of the community contributions for those that are looking for inspiration and would like to give. You can order directly from our Amazon wish list, or just take a look and see what we're doing. In the newsletter, given that it is Heart Health Month in February, we thought we should offer some heart healthy options. So what we often don't get from our wonderful partners at Our Neighbors Table is low sodium options. So try to put a number of low sodium options on the Amazon gift list, as well as microwavable meals, single portions, and that kind of thing. So put that out there. Tax work-off updates. All 10 spots that the Groveland Council on Aging has been allotted have been filled, so very excited about that. We have 3 participants at the library, 3 participants under the town administrator's office. The Council on Aging has 3, then the Water and Conservation Department has a person sharing across both departments, so very, very excited about that. And other personnel stuff is we are hiring a van driver. So Joe Walsh had given his resignation. It is effective February 25th. Amazing person, amazing van driver. He will be missed, but he has an opportunity to pursue at his second job, so he will be making that happen. Of course, he did let us know that he thoroughly enjoyed his time here and the people here, and should it work out that we need a driver for a sub shift and he happens to be free, he'd be open to letting us know if that can work in his schedule. So the posting is posted on the town website. It's posted a few other places as well. So we are currently interviewing with an ideal start date of March 3rd so that we don't have any lag in the service. Any questions on that?
I would just like to thank Joe very much for being such a wonderful van driver while he's been here. He's very well liked. He's so personable and efficient. So we will miss him, and we wish him well in his job, where he'll be outside a lot more.
Absolutely. sort of circling back a little bit, just wanted to do a huge thank you to our tax work-off participants that took place during the calendar year 2024. So as many of you know, it's the agreement is to work 66 hours, but so many more do. Many more hours than that, so really appreciative. You are doing actual work that we need done, so it is valued, and you make an impact on the town. So thank you very much for all of our tax work-off participants last year, and welcome the new class this year. So thank you.
Are there any other questions, comments, discussion for Alyssa's report before we move on? Thank you again for a very comprehensive, thorough report. Subcommittee updates. Let's start with bylaws.
I think the only thing we need to do is have our second vote today.
Our second vote, right. We
And then
voted
once-
last month. According to our present bylaws, we need to vote twice before they are submitted officially for the town warrant. So I make a motion that we vote to approve the bylaws as written and amended to be put forward for the town warrant for town meeting 2025.
I'll second.
Discussion?
All those in favor?
Well, discussion, no.
Discussion, questions?
I think we've kind of
I think
talked
so.
this over and over.
I think so.
We just need our second vote.
All right, all those in favor of the motion? So moved, thank you.
Okay, so I will submit this to the town administrator.
So Laurel, you'll
Yeah,
take care of submitting it?
Mhm.
Thank you.
I
Thank
do it
you.
now, except I have no internet, so can't do it. I'll do it when I get home.
Thank you to the bylaws subcommittee for all your hard work on that. That was a lot of time, effort, greatly appreciated. Finance subcommittee?
I don't think we have anything new to report. We have a meeting coming up the last week in January with the Finance Committee to answer any questions they have about our budget submission. So,
Do we know day and time
Yes.
for that?
It's
January.
January 29th.
29.
Is it
I
5:30?
think it's
five,
Let me look here.
I have five.
Okay.
Now, do you want the committee, the board
I have
to
five.
attend, or do you feel just the committee?
Definitely the committee and any and all that would like to join
Yeah,
us, feel
If
free.
you want to come, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so when was it, January?
January 29th at
Yeah, at
5.
5.
Okay, that's a Wednesday. All right, we'll see.
Well, that brings us to the nominating subcommittee. We have a new board member to welcome. Sharon Hines has very kindly agreed to come on to our board to join us. We are most happy to have her. So with the nominating committee, Laurel, I think you're it right now for that.
Yeah, so
Make
I make a motion to approve Sharon Hines to become a board member.
Second?
Okay.
All those in favor? Welcome
And-
aboard.
Move around the table.
Yeah, come on over, come on over. I'll move my stuff.
Switch her.
Now, she will have to,
I'm going to take her over to Beth's office after this
okay,
and just talk about, getting her
What she
sworn
needs
in.
to
And
do.
then we
Yep.
have to do a letter. I can take care of that.
okay.
Just saying that we have appointed and voted her as a new board member. Give that to the town clerk and to the town administrator. From what I understand, the select board has already seen her letter of intention to join and has said, okay.
Oh, okay,
So that
good,
has
good, good,
happened.
good.
So once she's sworn in, she can start with the fun. Thank you very much, Sharon.
Oh, you're
Welcome.
Glad to be here.
And we still are looking for one other person to be on our board. So if there's anyone out there who's watching, we have one more position that needs to be filled. So just let us know. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think last time it was mentioned that they could submit a letter of interest.
Yes.
They could drop it off in an envelope to the COA office, and I can pass it on. Or if they would like, email directly to the nominating committee and board chair, happy to share that too.
Very good. Next is the Friends of the Council on Aging update. Larry McKelney, who is the chair of the Friends, is at home with a bad cold. I'm sure he's watching. So he just asked us to touch on a couple of points. We recently mailed out membership drive letters to our active member list. Thank you, Alyssa, for your help with preparing that and the labels and so forth. And thank you to the Friends who stayed after stuffing envelopes at the last meeting and getting that done.
And also, there is a letter now that will be going out that has been prepared, not just to present members. Deb, I have your letter here. We saved
Oh,
the
okay.
stamp. I'll
I
get
haven't
it to
gotten
you.
it yet.
No. We pulled those that we knew we would be seeing that were members. But there's also, if anyone is interested in, passing it along to your friends, there's a general letter for people who maybe were not on our friends list, but would like to support the Friends, either, just by paying a membership or a donation, or coming and being a friend to become a friend. It's $10 a year, and you come and you offer your help. And there's a letter that explains everything. So we have that too. We have a few copies available, and I think Alyssa worked on it again, and it's on the website. And why don't you take that over? 'Cause thank you for doing that. I just felt it was necessary to have.
Yeah, absolutely. So the COA office does update the front page on our website. So I put up the sort of open annual appeal request by the Friends. I would just want to clarify that certainly becoming a Friends member, donating to the Friends greatly supports the work that I and Nisha and the board does for the Council on Aging office. It's not required to be a friend or to make a donation to participate in COA programming. So just wanted to make it clear that those donations that the Friends are asking for greatly helps, but our programming that the COA office does is open to any and all.
Yes.
So now I wonder if someone hears this, what is the easiest way for them to become a friend?
Or supporter. It's not just being a friend, yeah. They could go on the website now, and go on the town website, go under Council on Aging. At the bottom, there's a thing that says, Friends membership or something like that. Click on, and there's the form is there. We do take Venmo, or you can drop off your form and then just say that you're doing it by Venmo. And you need to get the form down here. There's a black box in the office where you can put your check and your form that will look like this. So that's the easiest. And there, if you know one of us, we will have these forms, hopefully, to give you. I'm giving it to every place I go. So, there we go.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you
And we,
very much.
yes, money, we accept money from anybody, no matter how old you are.
Continuing to update from the Friends, there is going to be a North Shoreman concert. It's a male a cappella group. They're going to be performing in April at the Bagnell School. I believe it's April
11th, does that sound right?
11th at 6 o'clock, so that hopefully families can come. But there is information about it in the newsletter, and there also will be more information as it gets closer. We have also the Friends has also formed a couple of subcommittees. We definitely want to revise the revive the townwide yard sale. And there is a lot of interest in the community, I know. It takes a lot of participants to make that happen. So we have a very small subcommittee at this time, but we are looking for community members to help with that. You do not have to be a member of the Friends. You don't have to continue to come to Friends meetings. Just get in touch with us and let us know if you would like to help with the townwide yard sale. And it can be in any way, big, small, everything in between. Just to have you come and discuss options, because at the first meeting, they will figure out the when, the how, the where. So everyone's input on that would be greatly appreciated and needed. So if you are interested in helping with the townwide yard sale, you could either drop off a letter of interest to the Council on Aging office, to put Friends on the envelope so that it gets to the Friends. You could also email, or you could call the Council on Aging office if that's easier for you. The number, I believe, 978-372-1101. All right. So we are looking for help with that. We would love to get that going again, but in order to do so, we do need a lot of help. There's also, we are going to hold a ladies' tea, probably in the summer, and there is also a subcommittee going for that. So if you are interested in helping with a ladies' tea, again, the first meeting will be for the when, the how, the where, and we welcome all ideas for that. So if you're interested in that, have teacups you'd like to donate, or just ideas to help us with that, again, just please get in touch with the Council on Aging office and drop off a letter of interest or email or phone call to the Friends' attention. I believe that was all he mentioned for the Friends. Am I forgetting anything?
Seems there was one more subcommittee.
The yard sale, but the North Shoreman, that was.
Oh,
the
that
other
was it,
subcommittee,
okay,
Yeah,
yes.
and
Good,
the
good.
tea. So that is the latest on the Friends of the Council on Aging. Is there any other business before we move on to our strategic planning goals? All right, then, sliding right into that. We have our list of 4 categories that we discussed at our last meeting. Ideas collected from the board to consider for strategic planning, bless you. And those are the strengths and weaknesses internal to the Council on Aging and the opportunities and threats for the, to the Council on Aging. So I can just, from this list, we were asked to just think about our top 3 priorities. I'd be willing to share what mine were. It's hard to prioritize sometimes, but as far as strengths internal to the Council on Aging, the strong staff that we have, committed to the Council on Aging mission and who provide compassionate, caring, complete service to older adults. Offering an outstanding variety and diversity of services, programs, and events to meet the needs of our older population. And community-centered leadership of the staff and the board, which is a big strength right now. We'd like to continue to move with that. Are there any other thoughts or sharings on the strengths internal to the Council on Aging?
Yeah, I'll share.
Sure.
So as Barbara said, it's very hard to prioritize these, and I think all of our strengths are very strong strengths. I tried to look at it from a slightly different perspective of what strengths do we have that may we be able to leverage more than we currently leverage. So I selected fundraising by the Friends. That is just something that I don't think every Council on Aging has. And
I'm just curious, and you all know best, but is that something, I know there's a lot of overlap between board members and Friends, but how much of it
Well, I think it's something
Right.
for the board to think about
Yeah.
as they're looking at what we want to do in the future,
Yeah.
to know that we have that.
That you have, yeah, okay. No, I was
That's-
just
yeah,
curious, yeah,
that's-
that
I
makes
mean,
sense. Yeah,
Because it is
a resource,
intimately
connect,
currently funding a
yeah,
lot of our programs.
yeah.
So I do think, that's why I
Yeah,
selected it.
yeah.
I also think, and you know, you guys have heard me say this before, I think ever since I got on the board, is our van. That's a strength, and I think there are ways that we can, again, those ways cost money, but there are ways that we probably could utilize the van more. And I'd like that to be something, a strategic thing, you know, how can we utilize that more? And then I also, along with Barbara, selected community center leadership of the staff and board.
Great, thank you, Deb. Anyone else have anything they'd like to share about strengths of the COA?
I
Irene?
will share my priorities. People have already mentioned most of my priorities. I thought offering the variety of, offering the outstanding variety and diversity of services and programs. I had also marked the service provided by the van. And then just below that, I kind of combined two, the broad and deep communication and willingness of people to learn more about the COA and its services, I saw as a general communication goal with both breadth and depth.
All right. If there's nothing else, then we could move on to weaknesses in,
Does anybody, do you have?
You've all said them.
Oh, okay.
My
Oh,
top,
so that's interesting. So we have
top three.
uncovered,
yep, the top
overlap.
three, yes.
interesting.
Yeah, this one was a hard one for me, just particularly being in it in the day-to-day. And I'm glad that you shared the lens and perspective that you were looking through it because, right, everything can always improve. And so when I see these things, I'm like, yeah, these are good, but we could do more and we can do better. So I appreciate that sharing. So I appreciate, yeah, just bottom line, I appreciate you saying that these are strengths, and I do think that they're strengths. I think we can definitely improve upon them.
weaknesses internal to the Council on Aging. I had thought about, once again, the lack of a dedicated space for the Council on Aging for our programs. There is, as we all know, limited space and availability. We have to take turns sharing this room and every other facility, even outdoors in the summertime. Ways to, for me anyways, ways to reach everyone in the community. Given the cost of mailings, some people don't have computers, access to email, access to the Facebook posts. How can we reach those people better? The engagement newsletter, as fantastic as it is, it's available online, it's available in hard copies, but not everyone can read it online and not everyone can get out to get a copy. We do put them in various locations around town, but again, not everyone can access that. So reaching more people is a priority. And then misconceptions about the Council on Aging. What we do, who we service, that we're not just, the standard that you hear, oh, I don't need that yet, I'm not old enough yet. Well, there are many things that the Council on Aging can offer and help with that are not related to older adults. For, among one thing, for people who are caring for older family members, all kinds of programs that are available. So how do we get the word out and get rid of those misconceptions?
Can I add on to that, well, from my perspective, we are for older adults. And that's okay, because that's older adults. We are every single individual, should we be lucky enough, it's going to hit 60 and more. So I think we need to change that perception of that's living and it's great, and become involved in your community, and we can help support you at whatever level that you would like.
Again, lack of a dedicated COA space, misconceptions about the COA, and again, I think that, in my mind, is how do we reach the younger older adults? And how do we get the younger older adults who don't think that this is their time yet?
Yep.
And then my last one, and I want to explain this one a little bit, was being more forward in our commitment for inclusivity. And I think we're doing some, well, not we, Alyssa and her team are doing some excellent, excellent work, with the Memory Cafe, with the dementia information, now with the low vision. I think that they're doing excellent work there. That's just something I would like to see us say, how do we continue that? And again, it's, unfortunate that our staffing meant that we felt it was appropriate to give back the LGBTQ grant, but those are the things. There's all kinds of people that, for whatever reason, do not feel included. And I think they're doing excellent work, and that's just something, as a strategic planning, that I would
Yeah.
like to keep.
I want to be able to name that in a more, just to normalize everything, right? I just want to circle back to the grant. So the funds were for a sort of a larger training and for a couple of big community events. So Nisha and I, of course, will still do the training on our own to make sure that we're well informed, and hope to advocate and do something smaller within our budget for that community in particular, just not on the scale that
Yeah.
we had wanted. So just don't want people to think.
No, I think that was a wise, I think it was a wise choice for the state, the place where we find ourselves today.
Yeah, but I want it to be like every month or every other month, there's something for everyone. It would be, yeah.
And I had marked all that you two had marked. I circled the word inclusivity because it seemed that for several of these weaknesses, they were included within the umbrella of inclusivity. Inclusivity of reaching all people with information and newsletters, of including people who still have misconceptions about the COA. But I also, the additional one I marked was staff limitations, especially having a full-time outreach person. It's not just, it is specifically having an outreach person, hopefully someone who can build personal relationship so that clients build trust, but also just the goal of having a full staff as much as possible all of the time, so that all of these worthy programs can be respected with a complete staff that has the gift of time really to plan without it being many hours of work above and beyond that which is scheduled.
Can I ask a clarifying question, what you mean by full staff?
Whatever it is that the director perceives as the full staff that's needed to meet the needs that you are.
And not necessarily
receiving.
numbers, but making sure that tasks are being fulfilled.
Right, but I also would like tasks not to become so overwhelming that they're taxing the staff's energy more than necessary.
Yeah, so maybe combining that with I feel like I personally wouldn't have put a strength on volunteers. Why I think we have volunteers, most of them are you. And a handful of others. So definitely appreciate the handful of others. Because we cannot do it without you. So I think, really utilizing people, because I know there are people that want to volunteer, so really utilizing them to make sure in, these words of being fully staffed. And so maybe there's another word to say that, but maybe just fully meeting the needs of the community from a, I don't know, administrative perspective. I don't know. But
Service
yeah,
providing.
Yeah,
perspective,
yeah.
And I think that's one of the reasons behind the restructuring proposal that will go into effect July 1st of having a full-time person in the outreach office, because the need is definitely there. Again, the social programming is wonderful, but you have to have the outreach to the community members even more so that they are able to participate in the many services that are provided by us. So the restructuring proposal would give us a full-time director, full-time outreach, a part-time program coordinator, and 2 van drivers. And hopefully, that restructuring program will meet the needs. Well, not hopefully, it will meet the needs. Anyone else on that before we move on to the next area, which is opportunities external to the Council on Aging? I kind of wavered about checking, continue to strive for a senior center that is freestanding or dedicated senior space. Definitely, that is absolutely a top priority, but I don't know if it's something that's going to happen in the next 3 to 5 years, which is why I hesitated to put it on there. I think it's an ongoing, every year focus area. So that definitely would be included in there.
Yep.
Affordable housing, there continues to be, I hear it all the time, people say, I can't, or I don't want to stay in my home anymore, it's too big, it's too much room, it's too expensive. And I would love to stay in Groveland, but there's nothing available. There's such a long wait for River Pines and the other senior housing. It's not terribly affordable for everyone, so affordable housing is a huge area for opportunity. And untapped residents, there are a lot of people out there that we have about 2,000 older adults, and we would love to get them more involved, more active, and to be able just to tap into them and reach out to them and let them know what we do and what's available. Those were mine.
I had the senior center. Again, I realize it's, not a short-term goal, but I think it has to be part of our strategic planning.
Yep.
Affordable housing, again, I've talked about this a lot. I'm not going to go into it, but there's just too many older adults in Groveland that would prefer to be in a different setting or who are in a setting that isn't as safe as it should be. And the next one that I did was the town becoming an age-friendly, dementia-friendly community. The resources that Alyssa shared earlier in her director's report, I think are well worth, us reading to see the state and, local, federal guidelines that are going along with that. But I do think that's important. I mean, that goes back to all of the inclusivity that we talked about, and, a community is so important. And I think having an age-friendly community has benefits beyond the older adults. It also builds community with younger families. It builds communities with different organizations within town. So,
Yeah, I just wanted to add on to that, the age-friendly community, there's not an age defined there necessarily. It's, that ramp that's going on, behind the library. That's going to benefit, young families that have younger children that perhaps have a stroller to older adults that may have mobility needs. But again, mobility is an all ages thing. Somebody that got in an accident and they're in a wheelchair at, age 20. So I think universal design is something that only makes communities stronger for everyone involved there.
I marked, or I highlighted, continuing to strive for a senior center or dedicated senior space, and the affordable housing. And the untapped residence is a huge resource. But once again, I see inclusivity and community being themes that we are highlighting.
Any other thoughts on that section?
I'll just add, sorry.
Go
Thinking.
ahead.
I lag in my thoughts, I guess. Certainly always thinking about the community center or senior center, and, absolutely want to make sure that it's part of our strategic plan, because I do think that we can break it down into spots. I mean, something that I want to make sure of, as I know we all do, is that it's sustainable. Right. And so even in my mind, and this is only my mind, not, board inclusive, but when I think about it, I think we're going to have to do it private funding, through a diverse amount of resources, but most of it's probably going to have to come through private funding, not the town. So then we get the funding, then how do we take care of the building? And so I think those are the things, and I'm sure we're aligned with that. I just wanted to name it, that maybe within this first, few years that we really name, how are we going to make it sustainable, so that then we know our goal, what that looks like ultimately. But, yeah.
I have a question. Excuse me, if it turned out it was going to be a community center, it would be all-inclusive. It wouldn't just be a building where the Council on Aging is. There would be numerous people that would, organizations and whatever. So how would the funding for that be? Would the town need, because it was a community center, would the town?
Yeah, I think that's a bigger discussion. I think, potentially there's more town, potentially, as far as I'm aware, there's more funds could be put in from the town if it were, more people, more funds. But yeah, I think that's some of the successful
building
places.
would belong to the town.
Yeah.
So
We wouldn't have to
that
necessarily-
piece, yes, so the liability, all of that should be on the town.
Yeah, I think those are assumptions that we would really need to clarify. But as we all know, that there's plenty of buildings that have come and gone because they aren't able to upkeep and pay for. We wouldn't want that to happen to this. So, yeah. So it's doable. It's doable. I just want that to be part of the. Yes, let's include it. I would love to have this piece included in our strategic plan, but, make it so that it's this, we can always go ahead, but at least the goal is to be
Ongoing
like,
process of getting there, step by step.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
And definitely, I like the idea where we're saying it's a community center, because I think that's where it failed before, where it was just going to solely be, because it was on the ballot, and it was solely for the elder community, and I think that's where it failed. But
I just want to comment, I know we have one more or two more to go, one more to go. I just find it amazing. I haven't been speaking because, boy, you guys, we're all on the same page here. My top three have been, maybe not the same that, Barbara said, but she had two of my three, and then Deb brought the third one in, or Irene, or like, I didn't have to say anything.
Would you like to go first on the next one then?
But no, I mean, that's fine. Go for it.
Sure.
But I think that's good that we're,
I was going to say, you can.
I know,
Take
go
the
ahead.
lead
No,
on
it's been working
All right.
fine.
For threats external to the Groveland Council on Aging, again, misconceptions in the general community and the public, misconceptions of the COA. Who are we? What do we do? Who do we serve? Overcoming the misperceptive stigma of, I'm not old, I don't need the COA. We hear that all the time. Or I'll get involved later when I need it. Well, you could certainly get involved right now, and as we've mentioned, there are many ways to do so and many services available, especially to the younger, older adults. Communicating at the Council on Aging is, again, much more than that. And how do we reach that younger, older adult community members and increase their involvement? Those were mine. Laurel, want to jump in there before I do anything else? Before anybody
Well, so I actually also I had those three. Well, I kind of combined the first two, the misconceptions and overcoming the misperceptive stigma. So those are pretty much the same type thing in my mind. And how do we reach the younger, older adult community? And then the affordability of aging in Groveland. So many. Even me, if I would like to downsize, I can't afford to downsize. I have this big house that I don't need, and I can't afford a smaller home. So I'm stuck. I mean, I love my home, don't get it. That's it.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
Again, I had the overcoming misconceptions, the affordability, and then the third one that I added in was the state and local policy changes that impact, reduce, or eliminate public funding. I just think that's a threat that we always have to be aware of.
Yes. I marked that as well, although I'm not sure how that fits into our strategic plan, but it is a threat that I think has to be on our mind and how we might adjust if we have losses in support.
So in my mind, when I was thinking about policy changes and public support, be that, local, state, federal, isn't that also, the need's still there, right? And so then that means that we need that staffing structure. Again, there's plenty of COAs where one person doing outreach isn't enough, and so sort of continually looking to make sure that we are meeting the needs, knowing that in all likelihood, well, I don't know, but if we get outpriced, maybe not, but chances are, as growing population with 2 staff, right now, we're great. I'm fully confident we can do it, 2 full-time staff. But as, we continue to age, what we learned yesterday, 10,000 adults in the U.S. turn 65, or, that's huge, daily. Yes.
Daily.
10,000 daily. And so, just having it, the succession planning, but even more so future planning of how we continue to grow as a staff to make that, to make sure needs are met. Yeah.
Even,
Okay.
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, just when you're saying the 10,000, I've been reading that book, Being Mortal.
Being mortal.
Being Mortal,
Uh-huh.
yes, that we will have with the book discussion, and how in the past, it's been triangular. So the base of the triangle are the young people, the babies and the young children, and then the seniors, or the older adults, would be at the very tip, percentage-wise. Now it's becoming rectangular, which means, we're living longer. So there are more percentile-wise in the population. I just thought that was like, wow, rectangular, not, that was kind of interesting to me. Sorry.
Oh, that's all right. So now we have identified the areas. The next thing is, how do we go about moving this forward? Sharon, if I may mention, in your letter of interest, you had mentioned that you had worked before on strategic planning and long-term goals. What does everyone think should we form another subcommittee for strategic planning and have ongoing discussions? Now that we've identified these things, how do we move forward? Does anybody have any thoughts or plans? Or
We did, excuse me, I'm just having trouble speaking. We did do subcommittees, and we came together as a whole group, probably every 3 months, just to kind of see where we were. Again, subcommittees would, look at the goals, plan the steps that could be accomplished, some short-term and some long-term. We also did what do you want to call it? A full day where we met. Again, in the bigger picture, maybe once a year, to look at, what we had accomplished during the year. That's pretty much it. It's been a while.
I've thought about that too, because I think most strategic planning I've been involved has been a full day session. I don't know if that's doable for us for any number of reasons, but particularly, I assume we would have. Do we have to be videotaped the whole time, or can we just take minutes if we did a full day session? That's something, that
If
might be
you met-
worthwhile.
Instead of the whole group, if you mean the subcommittee having a whole day,
Yeah.
then you wouldn't need to be if the subcommittee was small.
I guess I'm curious what,
And minutes of that,
yeah.
and then we could discuss it and be, instead of
I'm-
having the whole.
I like the idea of subcommittees and to me of doing the check-ins, So one board is driving this, but it's the staff that will be actually implementing it. So I think one, as it seems clear, people are very much aligned on the board, and that's amazing, and appreciate it, and hope that people that do have outside thoughts feel comfortable to name it, because that's why we're here, to get all the perspectives. I don't know that we need a full day. That was just something that went through my mind of like, how would we do it? But I think we, as a staff, we need big, bold, broad statements. And then, the team that will be doing it would then come up with the actions of how we will do it, and can give you a little bit more of a timeline of when that could be done, but also might be worthwhile to have feedback on if it can be done, which I think everything can, but not unless you give us something too wild. But
Because when I've done strategic planning in the past too, it's often been an all-day session, which is probably more than we need. We're not a business, we're not, but perhaps it wouldn't be a bad idea to try and schedule, say, a 3-hour session, and maybe we could go over to VZ and have our 3-hour session there, and not be in this building where there's interruptions, and I don't know, it's worth throwing out. And I don't, if it's a strategic planning session and it's not votes, if it's just to get ideas down, I don't know if it needs to be
I don't think there's anything that says we have to be videotaped. I think
No, it'd just
that's,
be open to
it's
the
a
public.
nice,
If the
yeah,
entire board is meeting.
yeah.
It could just be open to the public, which,
Well, we
Yeah.
had video, that's all it was, open to the
Yeah.
public,
right.
anyone can come.
And then,
Yeah.
I mean, actually, perhaps there would be some people in
Yeah,
the community that would be
absolutely.
interested in giving.
Well, and that should maybe be an element too, of maybe once we narrow it down to ask, I know the library did, of, getting the input of, of community members.
I mean, they
Yeah.
had their strategic plan meetings and had community members and, their 5-year plan, that type of thing. I don't believe they had to, I wasn't on it this time. I don't believe they had to have it recorded, but there were minutes, it had to be posted.
Yeah.
That's really all that it legally is required, that it's been posted in time and that anything that happens is being recorded. I mean, written down, minutes.
And I think if we decide that that's the route we want to go, I mean, I think actually either would work. Either we form a subcommittee and they work on it and bring it back, but I do like the idea of the whole, half-day, 3-hour session with everyone sharing, community input. I like that idea. We would also need to make sure that we had someone that could facilitate that, and make sure that we had activities that drove us, as opposed to just talking for 3
So-
hours.
I'm wondering, so I think there's definitely people, one, it sounds like we have experience in the board that we could make that happen. It's nice to have an outsider facilitate it though, so then we can be involved in the conversation. The Friends do have some funds, so I wonder if that's something that we're interested in, getting a few quotes and putting it together and ask the Friends if that's something they would be interested in funding.
Or is there someone
Willing to
We're
donate
open.
their time?
that would be willing to be that has done this, that would be willing to, this could be their donation to the
Yep.
Council on Aging to actually facilitate it?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
She's in the building.
I just would want to make sure that it's somebody that is, just like we wouldn't want to be biased to a certain extent. We have to be, of course, because we're
Yeah.
doing it. But making sure, I like the idea of an outsider to a certain extent, because then I think it challenges us a little bit more of,
Explain where we're coming from, rather than somebody who already knows where
Yeah.
we're coming from.
Right,
that,
yeah.
yeah. But absolutely, as we mentioned, one of our weaknesses is that there are plenty of community members out there that are not yet involved. So, would love to see that happen.
You and I have an idea.
So when we needed a director, and Larry was organizing the committee expertly, a community member with business and organizational experience participated, and I sat down and worked with her on the questions, formatting the consistent questions. And I was very impressed with her wealth of knowledge and experience in this kind of work. And I'm wondering if she's got the skill set to be a facilitator for strategic planning. I'm
Yeah,
kind of predicting that she does.
I'm just wondering,
each other.
yeah, I would just certainly board call. I would just make sure if we're going to do this route, like, let's make sure that we do it really great. Not to say that this,
Yes.
person that we already know, but like, let's broaden our horizons and make
Sure.
sure that we have the best person possible to lead us through this.
Yes, indeed.
So what specifically would you ask the Friends to fund?
So, I mean, there are people that this is their career to facilitate these conversations, and so then we would I'm happy to do that, to look into a few paid consultants and see, what it would cost. In addition to people that are known and or may donate it, but just so then we, as a committee, as a board can figure out, okay, this is the one that resonates with us, that we feel comfortable leading in the direction they want to take us.
Well, we could certainly start with that, with having Alyssa look into an outside facilitator and get some quotes for that, and perhaps you could get in touch with the person that you and Laurel are thinking of and get her thoughts on that, and then,
You're in the building right now, I saw her walk in.
I missed it.
and then perhaps continue with forming a subcommittee to work on this.
Forming a subcommittee after we collect ideas and discuss ideas in, say, a 3-hour session? Is that what you're envisioning?
Well, I'm not sure.
Yes.
Well, I
would think so.
think we need to
Yeah.
get cost idea
Yeah,
first.
costs and ideas.
Because I wouldn't feel comfortable, I guess I would not feel comfortable if it's a huge amount of, I mean, if it's
Yeah.
asking the Friends for that, because I don't think that's the Friends. I don't know, maybe it is the Friends fundraising.
I think it is the Friends' money. I mean, yeah, I
Is that their intention?
certainly,
Is that their intention? Is that why they have fundraised? For the board to make a strategic plan? Or have they fundraised?
that ultimately affects the
Well, I
programming
know,
of
but I'm
of the
just saying, I don't
COA.
think
It's a worthy question.
we can, I think that's a question that needs to be voted on by the Friends, so I think.
Oh, well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. We would have to bring it to them and
Right.
ask, but so.
But I can
just-
imagine some people being uncomfortable with spending the money that way.
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah, but I
But I
think we
just-
don't know until we bring it
That's
to
what I
them.
think we need, the first thing we need to do is get,
Are we talking $100, we talking 1,000?
oh, I'm sure you're talking several thousand.
Yeah.
To have a professional
Several
strategic planner
Really?
Yeah,
come in, I'm sure it's several thousand,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
There
That
are
would be
some
a-
companies that specialize in nonprofit strategic planning.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
That
they aren't
doesn't
going to
mean-
give us a discount because
No.
that's their job.
They might be more suitable for our
Right.
goals, however, they're not nonprofit. They specialize in nonprofits, but it's a business. They're not nonprofit.
right.
So I think that's the first thing, is we got to figure out how much it would cost.
Yeah, so I think that's what Barbara said. You know, I can, or certainly anybody, I will definitely put my hand in to reach out to a few people just to get costs and ideas. And then we have a handful of a whole different kind of group to, you know, it's just like hiring anybody for any job. Have a pool to choose from and go from there.
Did the Mass COA have anyone?
They do. It's actually a requirement. I am not eligible yet, but if I ever wanted to be a certified director, I'd have to go through the strategic planning process. So yeah, they do have people that they work with. So we definitely reach out to them too.
You know,
Yep. I think I have to be a director for 3 years before I can become certified.
but I mean, if there's somebody that's in the organization.
Oh yeah, yeah.
that
That's familiar
would
and
be
knows. Mhm.
familiar
Again, I don't think that they're going to be a discount because, again, that's their job, but at least they're familiar with the kind of,
What COAs can
Yeah.
and cannot do.
yeah, yeah. I like,
Like we're not big corporate business, so we're
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
Good. So will you get that information back to us for next meeting?
Yeah, let's-
And then we can move forward with that. And I think you wouldn't make the subcommittee up until after we have our,
Agreed, yeah,
right.
Right.
then
yeah, agreed. All right, well, let's start with that.
Yep.
We'll
It's a start.
talk about this again at our next meeting and hopefully have some further information, and move forward with this after that discussion.
Okay.
Sounds good. All right, well, thank you. Is there any other business that we,
What is the,
So-
what is the focus area for the next meeting? We don't know, do we have that?
I think strategic
Is there
planning
again?
and
It's gonna-
budget, because we'll know at that meeting,
And the
we will have
budget.
had our budget meeting with the finance board,
Okay.
so
Yep.
those two things, I think, will more than fill our focus area.
All righty.
If there is no other discussion, comments, questions, criticisms? Then may I have a motion to adjourn the meeting at 10:40?
I make a motion to adjourn?
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Next meeting, February 19th at 9:30.
Yes, thank you.